walked out of my grave clothes and I came out in a new robe. I was buried there for too long. Now I come alive in the one who
Welcome to my video. I thank you so much for pressing play. This video is going to address and answer the question, should a Christian woman wear artificial hair and weaves and wigs in her head? And this video is not to attack anyone. This video is not to make anyone feel bad or inferior. This video is to wake someone up. This video is to provide knowledge, wisdom, and understanding concerning the adversary and his schemes, okay? So share this video with some other woman that you feel like may possibly need to hear this. I hope that this reaches someone. All right, I believe that this was not a waste of time. All the research that I've done, I really hope that it helps someone. I really do. All right, so here we go. According to Global Newswire, the global human hair extension market was valued at $3.71 billion in 2021 and reached $4 billion in 2022. The human hair market is expected to reach over $7 billion over the next 5 years. So we see that buying and selling other women's hair has slowly over the centuries evolved into a multi-billion-dollar industry with a trajectory to grow by leaps and bounds within the next few years. So why in the world are women spending this kind of money to put another woman's hair on her head? That's the question that we will be answering today. I've done a lot of research into this. I've been prayerful concerning this particular issue with Black women. I also myself used to be a victim of this mindset of having to wear weaves and having to cover up my own hair with wigs. This is a trap of the adversary, and my goal in this video, my entire intention and focus is to help another woman, any other woman out there that needs to hear this, to help her to overcome this snare and trap of the adversary. This is a trap, and it is going to be exposed today. And we have to ask ourselves, why are we doing what we're doing? The Bible says to guard your heart above all else. So I've come to find out in my life that if I ask myself, before I make a choice or a decision, if I ask myself, okay, Veronica, why are you doing what you're doing? What is the intention of your heart? What is the reasoning for doing what you're about to do, or even for saying something? Why am I saying this? What is the intention of my heart? We have to check ourselves and examine our hearts sometimes. So we need to ask ourselves, why are we putting another woman's hair on our head? This is a serious question that we need to ask ourselves, okay? So first, let's go ahead and take a look at where this hair comes from. Let's start with that. So many different countries contribute to women shaving off their hair and then selling it for a profit. Now, this is not just human hair, but some of the brands are mixed with human as well as animals' hair. The hair is most commonly imported from India, Europe, and Asian countries, with India being among the top-ranking human hair distribution centers in the world. Now, keep in mind that India is also known for sacrificing their hair to different gods. So they cut their hair off and then they lay it before an altar or an idol, and they sacrifice it to one of their many gods. And so they believe that because of their sacrifice, that whatever particular god that they've sacrificed their hair to will bring them some type of good luck and favor concerning whatever particular issue that they're facing or whatever they're dealing with. And so it's a great possibility that the hair that you have sewed down on your head, Christian woman, may have been sacrificed to a Hindu god before being packaged and shipped to the U.S. That's kind of a big deal, especially when you think about it from a spiritual perspective. So we understand that spirits and demonic forces can attach themselves to people, places, or things if that door is open and and we allow entrance. And so I've seen women, they get their hair done, and then they begin to take on an entirely different persona and completely turn into someone else. And so there's a spirit behind this, and this spirit is witchcraft, which is also known as a spirit of control. And so by putting this stuff on our heads, we're opening ourselves up to all type of spiritual attacks. And these are spiritual doorways for darkness to come into our lives. And so today, wigs, hair pieces, and extensions are made of human hair, animal hair, synthetic hair, or a combination of some sort. Some of the animals that are used in creating this mixture of hair are yaks, horses, sheep, and goats, just to name a few. Now that's kind of nasty, and excuse my bluntness, but the thought of going to bed with animals' hair attached to my head, it's kind of a creepy feeling, and it's not good. And I'm extremely grateful that God has revealed the darkness to me and wearing these weaves and wigs, and I'm grateful that I received deliverance from it. And my prayer is that some other woman out there that's watching this will receive deliverance as well. This video is not meant to be offensive to anyone. It's not meant to tear anyone down. It's meant to build up. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the psychological aspect of this situation. And what better way to do that than to go back in time and investigate what, in my opinion, was the root beginning of Black women and our hair identity crisis, is what I'll just call it, a hair identity crisis. Okay. And so let's time travel for just a moment and go back in history. In fact, let's go all the way back to the transatlantic slave trade. And so in case you're not familiar with this event, the transatlantic slave trade involved the transportation by slave traders of millions of enslaved African peoples, mainly to the Americas. It existed from the 16th to the 19th century. These Africans were sold and traded as merchandise for common products in demand, like sugar, iron, and other items. In 1619, the first batch or shipment of slaves were brought to Jamestown after being transported on a ship for 3 months. Many of the women were raped, children were kidnapped, and the men were beat during this process to enforce authority and control. And so over the coming years, the trading of Africans for goods would become a common thing, and Blacks were perceived and treated as merchandise and not human beings. And so, like I stated, many of the women were raped by these European men, resulting in biracial or mixed children. And so the value or auction price of slave women varied depending on many different aspects, including beauty. And so mixed women or biracial women that favored more of their European genes, with the pointed nose, the smaller lips, the straight hair, were sold at a higher price because they were deemed as more valuable. And so my question is this now the concept in Black women's heads, that if they contour their noses and install straight weaves in their hair, that they become more valuable in the sight of men? And do they view themselves as better or more superior than the darker skinned woman with the full lips, the round nose, and the kinky puffy hair? Is this where the psychological aspect set in that stems women to spend billions on covering their true identity? And then also, I believe that this is where the concept of good hair and bad hair kind of originated from. You know, there is no good hair or bad hair. All hair is good. God put the hair on our head that he wanted us to have, and he called it good. So why do we have this mindset of good hair and bad hair now? It's because of this psychological damage that the Black woman had endured. And although us as a people are no longer enslaved, we still seem to have that slave mentality. The slave trade came to an end in the 19th century. However, the mental slavery is still very alive and evidently at work all across the world. The first human hair straightener was invented by Garrett Morgan after experimenting on his curly-haired dog, and discovered the possibility for curly and kinky hair to be made more straight like the Europeans' hair. So the product was similar to a perm. It had the similar effects of putting a perm on one's head, which, by the way, is horrible for your hair. Now, it's no coincidence that this inventor just so happened to be an African American man who evidently had been psychologically conditioned to believe that puffy hair was ugly and that straight hair was better. He realized that his product had the potential to become a gold mine among the black society of people because of this newly established insecurity in their looks, particularly their hair. He also went on to invent the pressing comb as well as many other products. Also, around this time, women started pinning weaves to their hair with clips and pins until, lo and behold, Christina Jenkins, which also just so happens to be an African American woman, invented and patented the hair weaving technique, or commonly known as the sew-in. And this was around the 1940s, and it involved 3 cords and a device called a weaving frame, allowing women to sew stitches of fake hair into their natural hair. Christina was a former wig company employee who shifted into the world of entrepreneurship after realizing that this particular market was slowly becoming a gold mine. Now, prior to these women turning to hair straighteners and clip-in hair pieces, they did attempt to make the most of their own hair by creating these exotic, immaculate hairstyles that had begun to attract the attention of white or Caucasian men. And because the white women had begun to perceive these women with these extravagant hairstyles as a threat and a competition for their white men, Governor Esteban Rodriguez, I believe is how you pronounce it, he made it illegal for black women to wear their own hair. And now these black women were forced to cover their hair in public with hair wraps called tie-ons. This law was passed in 1786 right here in the state of Louisiana. Black women were not allowed to wear their own hair in public, and this law became known as the tie-on law. This was a tactic that was used to combat the men from pursuing and engaging in affairs with these black Creole women. And even now, many women still wear these tie-ons, like Erykah Badu. What's the other girl's name? India Irie. So, and there's many others that still wear these tie-ons, and even though the situation, it seemed horrific for these women, they still found a way to tie their wraps to make them look nice and unique and presentable. They found all type of different ways to dress them up, and they added jewels and did different things to these wraps, but that's called the tie-on law. So we can kind of see how there's a major identity crisis in the black community when it comes down to our women's hair. And so the question at hand is, should a Christian woman wear weave in her hair? Should a Christian woman wear weaves in her hair? Let me just touch on my testimony a little bit, and then I'll let each woman answer that own question for herself, okay? So this is me before I received my deliverance from this snare of the adversary. This was me when I was wearing my weaves and my wigs, and I was faithful. I was spending hundreds of dollars a month getting these wigs, and Now that I look back at the entire situation, I can see how the adversary had me in his grips. I was controlled by the spirit of lust. I was controlled by the spirit of Jezebel. I was somebody completely different than who I am now. And I would never go back. I would never, ever, ever go back to wearing these weaves and wigs ever. And I have freedom now, And so I encourage other women out there who may be wearing the weaves and stuff. This, like I say, this video is not to talk down on anyone because I was there myself, but I encourage you to ask yourself the next time you get ready to purchase a package of weave, or the next time that you prepare to spend money on that next wig, I encourage you to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Search the depths of your heart and ask yourself why. Get to the root issue and find out why are you doing this? What's the reason? I believe therein will lie the answer as to whether or not you should continue to wear it, okay? All right, so I just wanted to say this real quick before I end the video. You're beautiful. You are beautiful just the way that God created you. God didn't create ugly. Ugly is a mindset that humanity has come up with based on their own perception of what beauty is, okay? Before the foundations of the world were created, God already had you in his mind, exactly how you would look, every curve on your face, the exact amount of hair that you would have, every strand of hair on your head was already numbered, okay? Your creator made you exactly how he wanted you to look. We don't have to compete with the worldly concepts of beauty. Let's just get back to being who God created us to be. There's freedom in that. There's freedom when we stop comparing ourselves to other people and stop trying to live up to worldly standards and what the world says that beauty is. Beauty is in the inner depths of the heart. That's where true beauty lies, okay? When a godly man goes after a godly woman, the number one priority on that man's mind is what's in this woman's heart. What's in this woman's spirit? What's in her mind? That's what truly matters. Our outer flesh is simply just going to go right back into the ground. It's going to go right back into the dirt, okay? So let's focus more so on our inner beauty, all right? And that's freedom. That's going to bring freedom. I'm telling you it is, because I was freed from it. I was freed from the trap of feeling like I had to wear this heavy makeup all the time and feeling like I had to cover up my own natural hair with this artificial fake. Let me calm down, because I'm about to get, this is something that I'm really passionate about. Oh, these bees out here going crazy. But there's something that I'm really passionate about, because I know what I went through, and I know the pain and feeling like you have to live up to someone else's standards, or to feel like you have to be beautiful. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. God didn't make ugly. The world's mindset and carnality came up with the idea of ugly, okay? So I just wanted to end the video with that. I hope this helps someone, and I hope you have a blessed, beautiful, and prosperous rest of the day. Be blessed.
I walked out of my grave clothes and I came out in a new robe. I was buried there for too long. Now I come alive in the one who has conquered it all. Walked out of my grave clothes.